Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is George Herrera with the Queens Home Team at Keller Williams Realty. In today's video, I'm answering a question that we got in one of the comments to one of our other co-op videos that we shot. And so I figured it was a good question. We answered it in the comments, but I figured we'd shoot a video in case anyone else out there is wondering what the answer to this question is. So the question that we received was from Margarita90, and her question was, is it possible for a board to accept an application if you overexceed all the requirements except for the salary requirement? In other words, if you're a co-op applicant, if you're a buyer, right, and you move forward on a unit and you make the application and you meet all of the requirements that the co-op has, but you don't meet the salary requirement, or in other words, the income requirement, could you still be approved? Now, one thing to note, and something that the user here is referencing, is that some co-ops in Queens have minimum income requirements. Sometimes they have, sometimes they have black and white requirements. Some management companies and boards where they have a certain debt to income ratio requirement, an income requirement, a reserve requirement. So there can be several financial requirements that a co-op has, but what this user is referencing is an income requirement. And sometimes they can be a flat, let's say $65,000 minimum income requirement, or it can be 3 times the annual mortgage plus maintenance. Either way, whenever a co-op has a specific income requirement, even if everything else looks great, even if the credit looks good, reserves look good, debt to income looks good, if the co-op, and it might be the management company or the board, if the co-op has a specific income requirement and you as a buyer do not meet the requirement, our suggestion would always be to not move forward, because we usually, when you don't meet one of those requirements that's black and white, the application usually gets rejected and sent back. And typically it won't even make it to the board. So usually your application packet gets submitted to the management company, and the management company is the first line of defense. They screen the application, and then from there it gets submitted over to the board. And that's when you get scheduled for a board interview. Management companies are typically just looking at all of the black and white requirements that the co-op has. So if there's a debt to income ratio requirement and you're below that, typically it gets rejected and sent back. And you don't even move forward with the process at that point. So if there is a specific income requirement, even if everything else, your whole financial profile is great, but that one requirement, you don't meet it, then chances are that the application would most likely be rejected and sent back, and you would end up back at square one, back on the market looking for an apartment. So even though we can't guarantee, you never know, right? Every co-op is different, and everything is subject to the management company's approval and the board approval. But in our experience, whenever a specific requirement that the co-op has isn't met, typically the application gets rejected. As soon as they review it, it gets sent back, and you either have to make changes if it's possible, but if it's income and you just don't meet it, most likely it gets rejected and you just have to start over on your apartment search. So hopefully that answers the question. If you have any other questions related to co-ops and applications, or some of these different requirements that exist here in Queens, drop them in the comments below. Finding topics for videos is not the easiest. So if you leave questions in the comments, then we'll be sure to shoot videos answering the questions, and that way you can get the answers that you're looking for. All right. Thanks as always for tuning in, y'all. Take care and have a great day.